Today, we present to you a short debate about the alleged retraction of Jose Rizal. Before retraction, our national hero had another concept when it comes to religion. According to Wikipedia, based on the letters, Dr. Rizal wrote it can be said that his concept of God could be summarized into three notions. First, he believed that God existed. Second, he believed that God was plus supra. Lastly, he believed that God was the origin of nature, that is, nature was the expression of God. Dr. Rizal argued that his God was not like the God of the Catholics, as his God was far above such things. He said to Father Pastels, "In the conviction that I find myself before the supreme problem, which confused voices desire to explain to me, I cannot but answer, that may be so, but the God that I summarize is much greater, much better, plus supra." He thought that a requirement to the godliness of God was his being above all things, which meant his being incomprehensible. Then in the Pitan, it was said that Dr. Rizal retracted all of his religious beliefs and stated that he was a Roman Catholic. Group 3 presents to you the debate of Rizal's retraction.
The House will come to order. Good morning, everyone. I am pleased to welcome you to our virtual History Debate 2020 with the theme of Rizal Retraction. On behalf of the House, I welcome you, our judge for this morning, Judge Janrico Jose.
Thank you, and good morning to all.
Before we start, I would like to discuss the still ongoing controversial debate about Rizal Retraction. This debate has already been a hot topic since the 19th century. But first, let us talk about our national hero, Jose Protasio Rizal Mercado y Alonzo Realonda. As we all know, Rizal was a Filipino nationalist who studied the government of Western countries to learn how to fight and succeed in ending the colonization of Castilla and ending more than 300 years of dictatorship by the Spaniards. Rizal, Rizal was born and raised in Calamba, Laguna, and the child of Chidoro Alonso and Francisco Mercado. With his incredible impressive mind, Rizal accomplished a lot in terms of education. So now, let's start the debate with the two sides, the affirmative and negative sides. Starting this debate is the affirmative sides. May I call Mr. Mark T. Makadangdang to give their main arguments.
Good morning, Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, we, the affirmative side, believe that Dr. Jose Rizal retracted his statement against the Catholic Church. The testimony of eyewitness, Father Bilager, who was with Rizal and presented the retraction format, prepared by Father Pup, the superior of Jesuit Society in the Philippines, before the execution. He stated that on December 29, 1896, the day before the execution, Rizal had accepted and signed the document of Rizal retraction. Isn't the account of the eyewitness not enough proof of retraction?
Convincing statement from the affirmative sides. Without further ado, now we would like to listen the negative sides representative Mr. Martin Melevo Jr.
Yes, indeed there is strong evidence. But in 1971, Father Balaguer also claims that he is the one who solemnized the marriage between Rizal and Josephine. Even if the eyewitness, Father Balaguer, presented a retraction letter written allegedly by Rizal. Fact is that Rizal was still in Masonry when he decided to marry Josephine. I suppose this negates their statement and proves Rizal and did not retract.
Next, for the affirmative sides, I would like to call on Miss Mary Grace Obispo.
Now, I would like to read the translated version of Rizal's retraction letter. According to Professor Michael Charleston, contents inside this letter was, I declare myself a Catholic and in this religion in which I was born and educated, wish to live and die. I retract with all my heart whatever in my words, writings, publications, and conduct has been contrary to my character as son of the Catholic Church. I believe and I confess whatever she teaches, and I submit to whatever she demands. I abominate Masonry as the enemy which of the Church, and as a society prohibited by the Church. The diocesan prelate may, as the superior ecclesiastical authority, make public this spontaneous manifestation of mine in order to repair the scandal which may acts may have caused, and so that God and people may pardon me. As my teammate said earlier, Father Balaguer was the one who testified that Rizal retracted.
Father Balaguer was with Dr. Jose Rizal, that's why he is always mentioned in the debate. Now, Miss Hilary Labay from the negative sides would like to say something.
According to Primacy of Reason.blogspot.com, after analyzing 6 major documents of Rizal, Ricardo Pascual concluded that the retraction document said to have been discovered in 1935 was not in Rizal's handwriting. Senator Rafael Palma, a former president of the University of the Philippines and a prominent Mason, argued that a retraction is not in keeping with Rizal's character and mature beliefs. He called the retraction story a pious fraud. Others who deny the retraction are Frank Lobach, a Protestant minister, Austin Coates, a British writer, and Ricardo Manapat, director of the National Archives. Also, according to Prof. Michael Charleston, one agent from Cuerpo de Vigilancia, Moreno stated that there was no Padre Balaguer who visited Rizal, and that agent was guarding Rizal's cell the whole time.
Two sources were mentioned by Miss Hillary. Continue, Mr. Kyle Kefford Guti from the affirmative sides.
In additional information to the statement from the negative side said, Agent Moreno also stated that at 3 in the afternoon, Father March entered the chapel, and Rizal handed him what he had written. Immediately, the chief of the firing squad, Senor Del Fresno, and the assistant of the plaza, Senor Maure, were informed. They entered death row and together with Rizal, signed the documents that the accused had written. It seems this was the retraction.
Prof. Michael Charleston is a journalist who graduated from the University of the Philippines and writes articles for GMA News. So please continue this debate, Mr. Alan Mar Lorenzana.
But Agent Moreno was not sure that it was a letter of retraction. This cannot be evidence unless the source is sure. Even the book entitled Biografia de Rizal, which was renamed to Pride of the Malay Race, and already translated in English by Roman Uzaeta. Rizal's alleged retraction can be found in chapter 32 and 33, and evidence found is different from the translated book, meaning that the continuous debate led us to the different secondary sources of information.
Pride of Malay race was delayed due to the World War II. Next, final statements for the affirmative sides, Mr. Jacinto Martin D. Ocampo.
More from Agent Moreno, he stated that at 5 this morning of the 30th, the lover of Rizal arrived at the prison, dressed in mourning. Only the former entered the chapel, followed by a military chaplain whose name I cannot ascertain. Donning his former clothes and aided by a soldier of the artillery, the nuptials of Rizal and the woman who had been his lover were performed at the point of death, in articulo mortis. After embracing him, she left, flooded with tears. Furthermore, Rizal's marriage with Josephine was also confirmed by two officials who Agent Moreno mentioned, Wandel Fresno and Eleanor. Both their names were signed inside the retraction document. In our Pambansang Museo ng Pilipinas, the Imitation de Cristo, or known as Imitation of Christ, can be found. This was written by Thomas Kemps and Jeremy Barnes, director of Pambansang Museo ng Pilipinas, stated that this was the exact copy of book given to Josephine Brankin by Rizal. Inside the book was written, "To my dear and happy wife, Josephine, December 30, 1896, Jose Rizal." According to Prof. Michael Charleston Rizal stated, "Libing niyo ako sa lupa, lagyan niyo ng panandang bato at krus, ang aking pangalan, araw ng kapanganakan at ng kamatayan, wala nang iba. Kung pagkatapos ay nais niyong bakuran ng aking puntod, maaari niyong gawin. Wala nang anibersaryo, mas mabuti kung sa paang bundok, kaawahan ninyo, si Josephine." And his last poem, our national hero had written, "Suffer the moon to keep watch, tranquil and sob over me. Suffer the dawn its flying lights to release. Suffer the wind to lament in murmurs in grave manner, and should a bird drift down and alight on my cross. Suffer the bird to intone its canticle of peace, and when my grave is wholly unremembered and unallocated, no cross upon it, no stone there plain. Let the site be rocked by the plow, be cracked by the spade, and let my ashes before they vanish to nothing. As thus, we form a part of your carpet again, Rizal died as a Roman Catholic, and will always be our national hero."
Final statement for the negative sides, Mr. Macnelo Manuel.
The following assertions bring about the testimonies that Rizal did not retract before his execution. First was the copy of the retraction paper that was allegedly signed by Rizal that was even kept secret and was only published in newspapers. But when Rizal's family requested for the original copy, it was said that it was lost. But could the Jesuits be the responsible to not know the value of the paper? Or was it just hidden? 39 years later, the original copy was found in the Archdiocesan Archives, and Ricardo Pascual, PhD, who was given the permission by the Archbishop Nozaleda to examine the document and later concluded in his book, Rizal beyond the grave, that the document presented was a forgery. The common rebuttal of this argument was either Father Balaguer and Father Pai had made errors in reproducing another copy of the original. Another evidence as to Rizal did not retract is that when Father Balaguer came to terms that he married Jose and Josephine, after Jose had signed the retraction paper. However, there were no marriage certificate or public records shown that could prove Father Balaguer's statements. And why would Rizal retract when he knows for a fact that even if he signed the retraction paper, he would still be executed? Since the Archbishop and the Jesuits cannot do anything to medicate his penalty, because the judicial process involved was a purely military tribunal, where civilian or church interference was uncommon and not allowed. And Rizal was accused of participating in filibusterist propaganda, where the penalty as provided by the Spanish code is death. The same of what happened to the three priests who were garroted years earlier. Even though they were still a part of the church, they were still treated as rebellious and were also not given a proper burial. Furthermore, way back when Rizal was still exiled in Dapitan, Father Sanchez Rizal's favorite teacher from Ateneo was sent by the Jesuit superior to try to convince his former students' allegation towards the Catholic religion and Spanish religion in the Philippines. And Father Sanchez told him to retract in exchange of professorship. 100,000 pesos and a state of Lobach in 1936. However, Rizal rejected the offer. It was argued that Rizal retracted in order to save his family from further persecution, and to give Josephine Bracken a legal status as his wife, and to assure reforms from the Spanish government. It is more likely to be Rizal's mentally, however, come to think of it. Would Rizal just simply neglect all the writings he conceived with his hard work? Or just the same writings that brought him to the point of being executed? No, because this was according to Mavis from Summer State University. Thank you.
Both sides are finished, and now I would like to call on Judge Janrico Jose to give the final jury for today's debate about Rizal retractions. Judge?
First, I would like to say something about Rizal. Even if Rizal did or did not retract, Rizal greatness will never fade. He freed us from the foreign people who govern and rule over our life as a Filipino citizen. Rizal may have other beliefs, and that because he studied and learned different culture from other country. Dr. Jose Rizal died for us, Filipino, and we will forever be grateful to our national hero. I would like to give my final verdict. The battle of this debate between affirmative and negative side of Rizal retraction. I choose the affirmative side. See, as a child of God myself, knowing our loving God, who we love, respect, and pray for. We all know that God is forgiving. I may not have the authority to preach this word, but we as fellow people who believe above all know how God loves us all. Lastly, the affirmative side provided more evidence to support the retraction of Dr. Rizal. Now, the meeting is now adjourned. Congratulations to the affirmative side, and you may all be dismissed. Thank you.
We have the reference here. So first we have the gmanetwork.com/news/lifestyle art and culture retraction ni Rizal, mga bagong dokumento at pananaw. Second references is the primacy of reason.blogspot.com. Jose Rizal Retraction, The Controversy by Dr. Raul Nidoy. The third references is the Rizal Retraction from the YouTube. Lastly is the HTTP NHCP, or the National Historical Commission of the Philippines, gov.ph, the Rizal Retraction and other cases.